Let's talk about the hardware, as that'll help us get an understanding on the approach that each of these phones take. The primary rear camera is a 12MP f2.2 unit with 1.25 micron pixel size. That remains the same on both, and the Note 5 makes do with just that. The Pro goes a step further and gets a 5MP f2 1.12 micron depth sensor as well. Now you might be thinking that since they have the same primary sensor, the image quality should be identical other than when you're using portrait mode or so. However, you'd be wrong. Despite having the same sensor, the images are quite a bit different. The image quality is hugely better on the Note 5 Pro. To start off with, the colors are more natural on the 5 Pro and the white balance is on point. Most images shot with the Note 5 appear yellowish and not as attractive as the Pro. In this particular case, the flowers seem to be very washed out, and while the Pro is also not 100% accurate, it's much closer to a real thing. The 5 Pro also manages to retain more detail and sharpness, which is quite evident once you zoom into the image and also while examining the files, since they are natively bigger in size on the 5 Pro despite having the same resolution. The Note 5 even exhibits some purple fringing in some photos, such as this one, where both the file sizes are identical to the last kilobyte surprisingly. The dynamic range is pretty similar on both, but the Pro does still have an edge here, both natively as well as in terms of the HDR algorithm, which is more aggressive. There's also a lot more noise on the Note 5 as compared to the Pro, even in good lighting conditions. Under good light, it might not be evident unless you pixel peep, but the difference is clearly visible in low light images. A pro tip would be to use the HDR mode in low light, which reduces the noise but at the cost of a slower shutter speed. The Pro has an additional portrait mode at the back that gives a shallow depth of field and isolates your subject or object from the surroundings. We have talked about this in detail during our review, so please do check that out. Panoramas look practically same on both, but maybe a tad bit better on the Note 5, and stitching works well on both too. Funnily enough, the Note 5 got the white balance right here, while the Pro gave a yellowish photo. Usually it happens the other way around. The Note 5 gets a 5MP front-facing camera, while the Pro gets a 20MP front-facing camera. They are poles apart as well, not just in terms of hardware, but in terms of quality. The Note 5 has a bare-bones front camera that just clicks photos. No HDR, no portrait mode here. It's not half bad and maybe better than some Redmi devices of the past, however it doesn't hold a candle to the camera on the Pro. Especially in HDR mode, the Pro takes great photos, and it can even take photos in portrait mode where the blurring algorithm is really good even with the edges. It doesn't support both HDR and portrait at the same time though. I expected that in low light maybe the Pro would fall behind, since it has 4 times as many pixels as the Note 5, and more pixels generally mean more noise. However, here too, the 1x2.78-inch Sony IMX376 pulled ahead, and it even went ahead and did a really good portrait mode under low light as well. Coming to the videos, the Redmi Note 5 can record 4K videos at 30fps. The Pro can do it up to 1080p currently, but I'm told that it will support 4K too once the final version is out. Footage shot on both are pretty identical. They offer good contrast, good sharpness as well as detailing. The 4K videos are captured at 40,000 kbps, while the 1080p videos are captured at half the bitrate. The main difference between the two, however, is that the EIS option is supported only on Pro. EIS was one major feature lacking in videos on Redmi phones, and this is perhaps the best implementation on any smartphone currently, and we are not just talking about sub 20k phones here. While the Note 5 doesn't have EIS at all, the Pro supports 1080p with EIS. 4K will come to the Pro, but we aren't sure whether we'll actually get 4K with EIS eventually through an update. It'll actually depend on whether the processor can handle it or not. This is the front-facing camera on the Redmi Note 5 capturing Full HD video. Let me know what you guys think about the overall quality, how it's capturing my voice, as well as the sharpness, the dynamic range, the contrast, and even how the stabilization is overall. This is the front-facing camera on the Redmi Note 5 Pro capturing Full HD video. This is with the EIS turned off, so let me know how the stabilization is on this, and we'll also compare it to the one with EIS turned on. So apart from that, let me know how the overall sharpness is, the dynamic range, the contrast ratio, and even whether it actually makes a difference to the EIS enabled one in terms of sharpness and all the other aspects. So this is the front-facing camera of the Redmi Note 5 Pro now capturing video with EIS turned on. Let me know if there's a huge difference in stabilization and
whether there's actually any effect on the overall quality of the video, the sharpness, contrast, etc., and whether there's even a bit of a difference in terms of how my audio is being captured on the video.
Overall, the Redmi Note 5 Pro offers a considerable step up in terms of the camera quality and experience over the Note 5. The Note 5 may suit the needs of many, but for shutter bugs, the Note 5 Pro is most definitely a better option. Thanks for watching this video. See you again in the next one.